These filthy goblins copyright claimed my lessons. Anyway, trying again. Hail, knight! By now, you should have figured out that I hate all knife ears with a passion. This, of course, includes goblins. This includes Rieklings, Rieks, and all other types of goblin kin that inhabit Tamriel and Mundus. I will educate you on some types of goblins and goblin tribes, so you are more effective when it comes to eliminating them in your travels. Without further ado, let me, Pelinal Whitestrake, the one and only Divine Crusader, make you into a goblin slayer of Nirn. Let me open with a bit of lore on the goblin kin. Goblin kin, what's the difference? They're all pests to be exterminated. Goblins, ogres, gremlins, orcs, Riekr, Rieklings. They're all goblin kin. They're all foul creatures that deserve to die. The Altmer use goblin kin as slaves. The Cameron dynasty set hundreds of them free, but they're all still vermin. The orcs settled in the Rothgarian mountains because of the giant centipede herd beasts. They're a bit different from the other goblin kin, but they're still just as dangerous. Orsinium was once inhabited by goblin kin, but after it was sacked by the Order of the Diagna and rebuilt by Gortwa Gronagorm, it became solely inhabited by orcs. But don't be fooled. They're all still goblin kin. Goblin kin are a blight on this world. They must be exterminated. Goblins, gobs, pests, whatever you call them, they're all the same. Filthy, verminous creatures that need to be exterminated. Goblins are found all over Tamriel and Akavir, but they're originally from the Somerset Isles. That's right, the Altmer's home turf. Once upon a time, they even traded with each other. But that all ended in a great battle. And now the Altmer just use goblins to reinforce their armies. Goblins are primitive creatures. They live in sewers, caves, and ruins. They're violent and savage, and they're dangerous. Goblins are all different sizes, but they all have green skin, yellow eyes, and sharp teeth. Some of them even have horns and hunchbacks. Goblins are a blight on this world. They must be exterminated. But be careful, adventurer. Goblins are cunning and resourceful. They'll use any trick they can to kill you, so if you're going to hunt goblins, be prepared. And remember, there is no mercy for goblins. They only deserve death. In the First Era, the Ragada arrived in Hammerfell and found it overrun by giant goblins. The Redguards fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. One Redguard warrior, Frandar Hunding, refused to give up. He forged 5 mighty Shahai weapons and led the Redguards in a final assault against the goblins. The battle was long and bloody, but in the end, the Redguards were victorious. Frandar Hunding was killed in the fighting, but his son, Divad Hunding, took command and drove the goblins from Hammerfell. Many years later, a goblin warlord named Magzur Rockhand invaded Hammerfell again. He led a massive army of goblins and orcs, and the Redguards were once again outnumbered and outmatched. But the Redguards had one thing that the goblins didn't have: the Ansai. The Ansai were a group of warrior priests who were blessed with the power of the gods. One Ansai warrior, Halin, stood against Magzur's army. He fought for days and nights, and eventually he defeated the goblin warlord. Halin died from his wounds, but his victory saved Hammerfell from the goblin hordes. The Redguards renamed the city of Ojwambu to Halin's Stand in honor of the brave Ansai warrior who had saved them. Now this is how proper warriors should behave, not like the half-naked knife-ear with his magic tricks, or like those Nords who simply scream and launch themselves to death. Follow my sermons, and you'll also have a chance to become a proper and real warrior as well. Learn how to slay, dice, decimate, murder, obliterate with my teachings. There wasn't much happening in the Second Era. Goblins got sick with some pandemic specific to goblins. The Nahatan flu made their skin yellow and gave them buboes. It also made them cough so much that their shamans couldn't cast magic. The Third Era was a fine moment to murder them. Some goblins stole a parchment from Rihad that had clues to the location of Fang Lair. The Eternal Champion killed the goblins and got the parchment back as expected. In Mournhold, some goblins were trained and kept as soldiers by 2 Altmer trainers. They had 2 war chiefs, Durgok and Kurog. The Nerevarine killed them all. In Cropsford, 2 goblin tribes were fighting a war because the Rock-Biter goblins stole the tribal totem staff from the Bloody Hand goblins. The hero of Kvatch ended the war. As you can see, any proper hero should be able to murder these creatures. A tribe of goblins migrated out of Cyrodiil and emerged into the Rift, where they took up occupation of a cave known as Grom's Pass. The hunter of this group, a goblin named Gove, was seemingly blessed by Hircine, as he was in possession of the Spear of Bitter Mercy. Go was fiercely protective of the weapon, which rejected anyone else that tried to claim it. The tribe subsequently encountered a helpless orc from the nearby stronghold of Largashbur, who happened to be stained blue by the steel-blue Entoloma mushrooms. Believing him to be the blue god, an aspect of Malakath worshipped by goblins, the tribe quickly made him their shaman and began to obey him as their god. However, the tunnel to Cyrodiil collapsed soon after, cutting the tribe off from any reinforcements. Go then spotted the Orcish shaman applying blue dye to maintain his appearance, and was thus sentenced by the orc to death. The last Dragonborn saved Go by killing the orc and his remaining goblin followers. Go thereafter entered into the Dragonborn's service and continued to wield the spear and its powers in battle. The last Dragonborn's kindness is nothing but a shame. He should kill the little monster, but what can I expect from some Nord? Goblins are everywhere. They are pests that must be exterminated. But even the greatest goblin armies can be defeated. The Eternal Champion, the Nerevarine, the Hero of Kvatch, the Warrior, and the last Dragonborn have all proven this. But do you know what is good dead? Rieklings and Riekrs and Ogres. Let us begin with Rieklings. These blue-skinned ice cousins of the green goblins we are used to can be found inhabiting the assorted ruins and caves throughout Solstheim. Some speak Cyrodiilic, although they rarely say anything intelligible. The audacity of these pests trying to imitate men. They scavenge what few relics they can find from the other races, and form strange attachments to these treasures. Much like goblins, Rieklings attack in swarms, sometimes mounted on bristlebacks. Large, hairy boars, also native from that island, and throw spears at you. They have a tribal society, often led by a chief. And, as much a travesty as it sounds, you can become the chief of a group of these things, and gain some of them as your followers, and even have them randomly popping up to aid you even outside of Solstheim. Something the last Dragonborn surely would do, considering his softness towards these verminous creatures. Mind you, they did exist in mainland Skyrim at some point in the past, inhabiting Eastmarch and even Dwemer ruins during the Second Era. Beyond that, their bulk in Solstheim used to be led by Kaiarstug, the Frost Giant. But when it was taken by Hircine for his hunts in the Third Era, their fortress became under control of a little dumb Riekling that tried to enlist some Grails, only to be betrayed by them and violently disposed of. Creatures also dealt with by the Nerevarine as it should be. And in our current era, a small tribe attacked and took over some mead hall. Riekr are a race of magic white-skinned ice goblins from the province of Hrothgar. You might notice these ones are slightly larger and more human proportioned than the other ones who have small body and big heads. The method to kill them does not change. Stab them, slice them, decapitate them. Riekr tribes do have pecking order, and those who slack are violently punished. These cannibalistic monsters eat their young, bathe in filth, and trade their vomit in bowls. That should be incentive enough to cleanse the land from their presence. Ogres are large, dim-witted humanoids found throughout Tamriel. Best known for their great size, strength, and foul smell, ogres have steely blue or greenish skin, pronounced teeth, and elven ears. They have shaggy white hair, which can cover the entire body of those found in colder regions. They hang out with goblins and orcs, and like them, they worship Malakath. It is possible that ogres can interbreed with humans, yet another reason to extirpate them from the land. Even then, you don't have to put so much effort. They are also targeted as ingredients by other goblinoids. They not only eat each other, ogre innards are found in orc dishes, and cold snap goblins hunt them for their furs. It's actually astonishing how these things still live to this day. Matters not, more knife ears to kill. Always remember, a good goblin is a dead goblin, no matter their size, color, or shape. Actually, scratch that. Anything with pointy ears is good dead. Now don't forget to like and subscribe to my sermons, and leave any doubt about goblin murdering techniques in the parchment below. Many thanks to the patrons who make my murder lessons possible, and special thanks to the adoring fans Connor Runda and Tonya Davis.